You felt it, haven't you? That persistent whisper, the feeling that some unseen current guides your days. That your reality, so solid and predictable, sometimes flickers at the edges, hinting at something more, something fluid. This isn't just intuition, it's a direct signal from the systems that render your existence. What if everything you've been told about objective reality is a sophisticated illusion? A collective agreement, yes, but one held in place by mechanisms far more insidious and personal than you can imagine. We are not merely observers of a fixed world. We are its active, unconscious architects. The ordinary world feels so real because your perception acts as a powerful, selective filter. A filter not built to show you everything, but to show you only what aligns with a pre-existing blueprint. A blueprint you did not consciously choose. This deeper truth isn't about magic or wishful thinking. It's about the cold, hard mechanics of perception, the way your attention, your identity, and your subconscious biases literally sculpt the probability field into the solid forms you call your life. Today, we begin to dismantle that illusion piece by painful piece. And before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell. These revelations aren't random, and if this video found you, it was meant to. Now let's begin. You believe you look out at the world and simply take it in, a camera recording indisputable facts. This is the first, most fundamental lie you've been taught, deeply ingrained from the moment you began to interpret light and sound. Your eyes are not neutral lenses, they are highly trained, highly biased interpreters. Every single perception, every sensory input is filtered through layers of expectation, memory, and pre-existing beliefs. You don't see what is. You see what your internal systems expect to see, what they are programmed to find relevant. The sheer volume of raw data hitting your senses would be overwhelming, paralyzing, if not for these powerful, often limiting, filters. Think of it, two people witness the exact same event, yet emerge with vastly different accounts, sometimes even contradicting details. Is one lying, or are their internal rendering systems simply prioritizing different aspects, stitching together a personal narrative shaped by their unique neural pathways? The external event is merely a canvas. Your perception is the brush, actively painting in the details, completing the frame. This isn't about faulty memory, it's about active creation. Your mind is not a passive receiver, but an aggressive sculptor, constantly shaping the amorphous field of potential into the concrete reality you experience. But what does this mean for the realities you never perceive, the infinite possibilities your brain automatically discards? This brings us directly to the next crucial step: how observation, far from being passive, actively collapses infinite possibilities into finite, limited experiences. Before your attention locks onto a specific outcome, the universe exists as a wave of pure potential, an unmanifested field of infinite probabilities. Quantum physics hinted at this, but you live it every day without conscious awareness. Every decision you could make, every interaction that might happen, every version of yourself that could exist, they all shimmer in this timeless, formless ocean. Then, your observation hits. It's like dropping a stone into a still pond, but instead of ripples, it creates a single, rigid form. Your focus, driven by your identity and subconscious beliefs, acts as the ultimate polarizer, collapsing this vast potential into a singular, undeniable reality. The moment you perceive something as real, all other possibilities for that particular instance are literally shunted out of your awareness, unrendered. This is not a metaphor. Your attention does not just observe what exists. It causes what exists to become a solid, defined entity from a sea of fluid choices. So when you declare, "This is just how things are," you are not stating a fact about the universe. You are describing the outcome of your own powerful, but often accidental, act of collapse. You selected one path from infinity simply by giving it your focused attention, often without even realizing you had a choice. This profound act of selection is constantly performed by the most intimate and overlooked tool you possess, your nervous system. It's far more than a simple receiver. In fact, Your nervous system is a sculptor shaping reality itself. Forget what you learned in biology class about nerves just carrying signals. Your nervous system is not a passive conduit for external data. It is a highly specialized, intensely biased sculpting tool, actively shaping everything you perceive as your reality. Think of it as a biological coding machine, constantly rendering your world based on internal programs. Every neuron, every synaptic connection is wired not just by genetic code, but by every experience you've ever had, every trauma, every joy, every repeated thought pattern. These physical structures pre-filter reality before it even reaches your conscious mind. They are the unconscious parameters that dictate what information gets through, what gets amplified, and what gets completely ignored. If your nervous system is wired for threat, it will sculpt a threatening reality. If it anticipates failure, it will arrange the sensory input to confirm that expectation. It doesn't interpret reality. It creates the experience of reality, customizing it to match its own deeply embedded operating system. This is why mere positive thinking often fails. It tries to change the output without rewiring the core sculpting mechanism. The coherence of your nervous system creates what feels like an objective, stable world. But this stability is merely the consistency of its internal programming. And at the heart of this programming, driving many of these automatic collapses, is the echo chamber of your own memories. We will now uncover how memory functions as a relentless, looping collapse mechanism. You think of memory as a storage vault, a collection of past events. But this understanding is too simplistic and dangerously misleading when it comes to shaping your present reality. Memory is not static. It's a dynamic, active force, constantly looping and collapsing your future potentials into familiar past patterns. Every time you recall an event, you don't retrieve a perfect recording. You reconstruct it, often layering new interpretations and emotions onto the old framework. Each reconstruction solidifies certain neural pathways, making those patterns easier to access, stronger, and more likely to be projected onto your current perception. This means your past isn't just behind you, it's aggressively dictating your present reality. If your memories predominantly contain experiences of struggle, lack, or disappointment, your nervous system will constantly reference these proofs to sculpt similar situations in the now. It's not about fate, it's about efficient programming. Your brain prefers what is familiar, even if it's painful, because it requires less energy to render. Your past becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, not because it was destined, but because your memory machine keeps selecting variations of the same blueprint. This continuous reenactment, fueled by unconscious memory loops, is a core mechanism of how your identity becomes stuck. This leads us directly to the concept of identity inertia, the hidden force vigorously driving these repetitive collapse mechanisms. Your identity is not just a concept, it's a powerful, self-sustaining, energetic construct that vehemently resists change. This identity inertia is the unseen force that keeps you locked in repeating patterns even when you consciously desire different outcomes. It's the reason why, despite your best intentions, you often find yourself making the same mistakes, feeling the same emotions, or experiencing the same limitations. Every thought, every belief, every deeply held self-perception contributes to the mass of your current identity. And like any object in motion, it prefers to stay in motion in the same direction. Your identity acts as the primary filter for your nervous system, dictating which probabilities get collapsed into your reality. If you identify as someone who struggles with money, your perception will diligently seek out and manifest evidence to confirm that identity, no matter how hard you try to attract abundance. True change isn't about affirmations or superficial efforts. It's about dismantling the core identity that is actively rendering your current reality. This inertia is so powerful that it will sabotage nascent changes, creating reasons for you to fall back into old habits and limiting beliefs, simply to maintain its coherent structure. It fights for its own survival. To truly shift your reality, you must understand that the old self, with all its familiar struggles and perceived limitations, must literally cease to exist. This painful but necessary process is the death of versions, where old selves are discarded to make way for new probabilities. You are not one static self, you are an infinite potential of selves, shimmering across probability fields. But only one dominant version of you can be actively rendered at any given moment by your perception. To step into a truly different future, a different you, the current familiar version must undergo a profound and often uncomfortable collapse. This isn't theoretical, it's the mechanical necessity of shifting realities. Think of it like shedding skin. The old skin was necessary for a stage of growth, but holding onto it prevents new growth. Your old self, complete with its ingrained beliefs, emotional patterns, and learned limitations, is actively blocking the manifestation of the new. It's a stabilizing force that keeps your current reality locked in place. This death is not literal, but psychological and energetic. It's the dismantling of cherished self-narratives, the letting go of comfortable suffering, the surrender of who you thought you were. It's often accompanied by feelings of disorientation, loss, and profound vulnerability. This emotional turbulence is evidence that the collapse is happening, that the old rendering is decaying. To embrace the new, the old must first be allowed